Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of What If Civilization Started Over? Let's get right into it. And in this episode, we're going to immediately be creating a new layer. A new religion is going to be created. And the new religion is going to be created in Ethiopia. So what's going to happen? Well, in this city in Ethiopia, a guy will create the first organized religion in the world, and it'll very quickly start spreading. So immediately it's going to be in this city and the surrounding areas, but this guy is preaching, and he's preaching hey, be pacifist, do all this good stuff, classic stuff that religions often start out with before they become a little bit more evil. And so that's going to spread to this city, as well as a lot of the cities in the south are going to start adopting this religion. The preacher's going to travel to this city and start preaching his message. Then he's going to go to this city, and everywhere he goes, the people start converting to this new religion, because before this, they kind of had unorganized religions. This is the first organized religion with this guy at the top. And eventually, he's gone to pretty much all of these cities on the coast, like so. And at this point, the king of Ethiopia will start to get involved, as he will start basically sending his army down in the hopes of crushing this religion. And he will find the prophet as he is moving up, and he will kill the prophet, as well as kind of destroying the city. So again, we're going to have a city that's intentionally destroyed. But this was the holy city of that religion, and spoiler alert, the city's going to get rebuilt again. But this is just going to make the religion spread faster, as the kind of pupils of this guy are going to go all around Ethiopia and start spreading this religion. So they're going to rebuild this city, and they're going to go here. And they're also, the king's son is in this city, and he hears one of the speeches, and the king's son converts. And so the king tries to make the king's son not the person who will inherit Ethiopia. But meanwhile, the religion is continuing to spread. And now it's taken over a lot of the less populous, less important areas of the country. But something interesting is about to happen, because the current king dies, and so he has two sons who can have claims to the throne. The oldest son is the one who converted to this religion, and then there's the other son, and the other son is the one who is officially the heir, and so the other son is going to take over Ethiopia. But the son who converted to the religion is going to secede. Reasons that will become clear shortly. I'm actually going to be coloring the new king. This is the colors I'm going to use. As a new capital city is created here, and then it's actually quickly moved to here, which is the holy city. But now a civil war will ensue for control of Ethiopia in the future. And actually, the secular kingdom is going to have the head start. As they start, well, you really can't see the cities, but it's fine. They start sending a lot of troops into Ethiopia. You can't really see the cities, but trust me, they're still there. And these guys managed to capture the capital, and so they have to evacuate to this city. As Somalia starts their own invasion into some of these areas. But these guys have a secret power on their side, which is religious fervor. They have a bunch of people who just converted to a new religion, who don't want to see their religion destroyed by two hungry empires as they see it. And so they'll start to utilize the motivation that their troops have, and they'll start to be able to push back. They liberate the holy city, but the old Ethiopia is still going strong. And so what they do is they send out calls for help, and that will be answered, as Eritrea will start invading into the other side of the civil war, because they're always going to try and get more land. They feel like Ethiopia stole land from them, and they think this new government will be much more willing to be cooperative, and maybe even a puppet government of sorts. So they are very much willing to do this. Somalia starts directly aiding these guys, but the new religious people are able to start pushing back. And when they go into Somalia, they start managing to convert the Somali people to this religion, which kind of goes with the Somali identity of kind of being peaceful and kind of wanting to stay out of wars as much as possible. And a good portion of the Somali population has now converted to this religion. And they are going to start rising up with their Ethiopian brethren against this new religion, or against the Somali government. And the Somali government is now on the back foot. They fully withdraw from here and stop sending aid to North Ethiopia, which is going to cause North Ethiopia to start losing drastically as these guys start coming down. But the king in battle is going to be killed, the king of this country, although he's still doing better as Somalia is still losing. But that is going to be kind of depressing for his country, and they're going to actually lose a bunch of land at first. But the thing is, these guys can't really do anything about it because they are getting crushed by Eritrea. But eventually a new guy will come to power who's not a king. Instead, he is one of the pupils of the prophet of this religion. And he basically says, we need to have a country that's basically governed by the principles of our religion. And so Somalia is done as they get fully conquered by this new Ethiopian country. So something interesting is going to happen, which is the first ever peace treaty in all of history. I might have said there were peace treaties before. This is the only one that's actually been signed. And it's only signed between the religious leader in this country and the king of Eritrea. And so let's see what that looks like. And this is the peace deal that the two sides agree on. So Ethiopia got a lot stronger, but now they're actually close allies of Eritrea. And I have to add another new layer now. Okay, this is the ideologies layer. This is the highest layer I have. And basically all this layer is it shows the ideologies of each country. So as you can see, these 5 countries are all monarchies. And this country is a theocracy. Theocracy is yellow, purple is monarchy. And then the right half shows what religion it is. So this is a theocracy of the red religion. Speaking of which, the entire country is now going to become the red religion. Not all instantly, but like over time. Okay, we spent a lot of time on that, so I think I want to go through some other stuff that's going to happen up north. Okay, while that was happening, / not while that was happening, but whatever, major explorations are happening as Yemen and North Egypt are continuing their agreement to keep exploring the world and just kind of seeing what's out there. And eventually they discover all of this. As Yemen starts sending some people out, population sort of ends up being in this region, whereas North Egypt's population ends up being sort of in this region. North Egypt obviously has more people to send out, so they will be sending out more people, and they'll actually be making some cities. Yemen will make one, but this region is the most fertile. This is Mesopotamia, so they've actually found another fertile region. Meanwhile, North Egypt is also doing some exploring westward. As they are going across the coast. And this is not necessarily the North Egyptian government. This is more so citizens. The North Egyptian government is focused on the east. But these people eventually discover this way. And once they reach the north of Tunisia, they figure that they've pretty much gone as far as they need to. And they set up a new settlement. But for now, it's going to be under the North Egyptian government. They're technically still loyal because they have no reason not to be. It's not like these people were trying to separate from them. And there's enough people who are in this group of people that there's going to be one city, roughly where Carthage was in real life. After this colony is founded, North Egypt will then send people out and say, hey, we need to get some settlements along the line between these guys because otherwise these guys are going to be dead. So enough people settle this that I feel comfortable drawing it as under North Egyptian control, even though it's not like that many people, like there's no major cities between these guys. But yeah, North Egypt is quickly becoming the most powerful country in the world, even though it already was. Now we go to Oman, who is continuing to explore into Persia. They are not on great terms with Yemen, but they're on good enough terms that they can cooperate to explore the rest of this land. As eventually the land that they'll end up exploring, probably by the end of this episode, if I'm being honest. We're about halfway through the episode right now. But this is the land that they'll have explored. And they'll probably colonize to around here by the end of the episode. Actually, this looks ugly. Yeah, this is where they'll colonize to by the end of the episode. And Oman actually is getting a boom of people, but they're all in Persia. They have like literally no new people. This city being here is the reason that there's this panhandle. But yeah, Persia is starting to become quite populated, and it's kind of becoming a problem for Oman, so we'll come back to that in a little bit. For now, we have to go to Eritrea, who is high off of their victory in the war they just fought against, I guess, North Ethiopia when that was a civil war, and is now ready to advance their plight into Egypt. And so that's exactly what they're going to do as they start going into southern Egypt. And they expect this to go pretty well, but to everyone's surprise, North Egypt will actually basically say, hey, South Egypt, do you want aid against Eritrea? And obviously South Egypt is going to say yes. There were some conditions on that I'll get to later, but for now, South Egypt is going to start pushing back against Eritrea. And Ethiopia basically gives a condition to Eritrea, basically saying, you have to let us put preachers of our religion in Eritrea, or we're going to also invade into you, because even though we were just allies, we're not actually friendly with you. Obviously, Eritrea has to say yes to that deal, and because of that, a lot of communities of this religion are going to start popping up within Eritrea, especially in the areas that are kind of far away from the government, as well as those that are close to Ethiopia. So obviously the areas that fulfill both of those are going to be double likely to convert. So Ethiopia is getting Eritrea to slowly convert to their religion, which could be even a more painful death. But anyway, them being invaded. But anyway, Eritrea is more powerful than South Egypt, and North Egypt isn't aiding them enough to make the difference. So once the shock is over, they slowly manage to push back. But North Egypt slowly increases their aid until it finally reaches a stalemate. And eventually North Egypt forces the two sides to sign a treaty where nothing happens. So you might think, what was the point of that war? And the point is kind of to show how powerful North Egypt is, and also, while North Egypt was doing that war, an interesting thing has happened, because whenever instances happened of a country asking for independence and actually getting it, as Mesopotamia declares their independence from North Egypt, and North Egypt doesn't try to stop them, but I don't like that color. This is a slightly better color. So this is going to be Mesopotamia, and immediately upon getting independence, they're going to try and secure their independence, and the way they're going to do that is by colonizing some land like so. And they had enough people to start making cities, but North Egypt wouldn't let them. So as independent states, they're going to start making some more cities. And an interesting thing is going to happen with Mesopotamia as they make their capital right here, which is that this city is going to ask to become part of Mesopotamia, and obviously Yemen is not going to let them do that. And they will actually declare war on Yemen to try and let them. So obviously they're going to take the areas that want to be part of them pretty easily, and that was actually a large area. But Yemen is going to move up, and like this desert is so vast that it's really hard for them to actually control this area at all, especially since they have no cities here. And in fact, while they're trying to move troops through here, a lot of them die. And also, they're going to buy some land from North Egypt because I didn't like the way this border looked. While this is happening, Oman is going to declare war on Yemen and start taking some of this desert land that Yemen has no way to actually control. And they're going to start interrupting these guys as their desert troops get killed because they can't actually take this land from Mesopotamia. And this desert, there's no one there to declare independence, but like there's like probably 10,000 people in this whole region. But if they could, they would want to declare independence. But anyway, Yemen starts invading into Oman, obviously. But Oman is doing pretty well as they have Mesopotamia as an ally, and Mesopotamia is probably the strongest out of these three states. But a big problem for them that they should have realized was going to happen is that most of Persia is about to declare independence, except for the first city they founded in Persia, which is Loyal. They're going to put their capital in their biggest city, which is here. And Oman is willing to give them independence as long as they get to keep this city, but Persia doesn't want that for some reason. So they militarily take this city. And now, with Mesopotamia invading into Yemen and Oman having to deal with Persia, both sides are kind of tired of going to war with each other, so they'll come to a truce deal, which is supposed to be a temporary ceasefire but ends up being permanent. So this is the deal they eventually agree on. So Oman will now, first of all, they'll try to kick Mesopotamia out of their territory and then eventually give up and just give the territory to Mesopotamia, which angers Yemen, but Yemen kind of doesn't want to fight Oman right now. So Oman will now send ships across the Strait of Hormuz and into Persia. But Persia is strong enough to like kind of force these guys to negotiate, and eventually Persia agrees to basically have the original terms, but they're going to be paid some reparations, or they're basically going to force Oman to purchase the land that they already had. So it feels like a victory for Persia, but Oman does get to say that they had the land, and Persia's going to do that because I thought that was ugly. And eventually, this is just going to be settled as Mesopotamia gets their independence, or not, they already had independence, but gets their land. One last thing for this episode. I just want to do some more explorations. I feel like the world map is less explored than it should be at this point. And so these explorations are probably going to be filled in a lot in the next episode. But basically, over the course of about 20 years, a lot of the kings of the world decide that exploration is for them. And so Persia will explore a decent way into India, just in general to here, and eventually where they get to, Persia's doing a lot of exploring because they were kind of founded by explorers. That's kind of the lore behind Persia. So they wanted to do more exploring and Oman wouldn't let them. That's kind of why they broke away. That's a good reason, I feel like, to break away. And so they're going to do that. They don't necessarily want to fill this with people yet, but some people will move here anyway. So people are just going to naturally venture a little bit further from their territory over time. And so this land will be discovered as the Carthaginians will be lost at sea one day and discover Sicily, which is the first discovery of Europe that happens, which could be interesting. And they'll also send some people to make a settlement on Sicily. While the Mesopotamians will do some explorations into Turkey as well as up to the Caucasus Mountains, which is like around here. And Ethiopia, although they're a religious country, they still keep their explorer blood in them. So they'll do exploring as well as Eritrea, as well as South Egypt, as well as North Egypt. And these guys will in total explore all the way to there. And finally, for this episode, Mesopotamia will conquer some more land, gaining access to both the Caspian Sea and the Persian Gulf. And with this, they're able to get even more people. They force a city to be out in the desert, which is never a good idea, but whatever. And they also get some more cities. And with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.